You can shower her with 1,000 expensive roses. You can take her to the city's finest dining establishments and spend hours listening to stories about her coworkers. You can act the part of the flawless gentleman who holds doors open and helps her with her coat. In exchange, you will receive a polite smile, a gentle kiss on the cheek, and a calm, composed thank you. But let us be brutally honest. Deep in your soul, that is not what you crave. And, paradoxically, that is not what she craves either. There exists a different script. You do not ask for permission. You do not offer flowers. You simply move into her personal space when she least expects it and execute what your nature commands. No questions asked. No long introductions. And in that precise second, magic occurs. Her polite smile evaporates. Her breathing becomes ragged. And instead of a tranquil thank you, you witness in her eyes a fusion of fear and wild, primal ecstasy. Why does this happen? Why does civility often extinguish attraction, while healthy, controlled arrogance makes her heart pound as if she were 18 once more? Today, we are not here to discuss ethics. We will leave those polite conversations for family therapists who recommend holding hands and negotiating. We are going deeper. We are descending into the dark basements of the human psyche, to the place where our instincts reside, the ones not mentioned in polite society. The fathers of psychoanalysis named this the shadow. That hidden part of us that controls our desires far more powerfully than reason ever could. We will dismantle this mechanism with the precision of a surgeon. We will observe the cocktail of hormones that detonates in her brain when you stop begging and start taking. And most crucially, we will understand how to reignite that spark in relationships that have lasted for years, without devolving into rudeness, but acting as an experienced man who understands the nature of the female. But before we embark on this dangerous yet essential conversation, I require you to perform one simple action. Hit the like button on this video immediately. It is not for my benefit. It is a signal to the algorithms that masculine topics, real, harsh, and truthful, are still in demand. And if you wish to comprehend how the female brain is actually wired, rather than how it is portrayed in glossy magazines, subscribe to the channel. Here, we speak the truth, however uncomfortable it may prove to be. Part 1. The neurophysiology of the explosion. Let us begin with the foundation. With what transpires inside her skull. Many men commit the same fatal error. They attempt to ignite a woman through logic. Through verbal communication. Through persuasion. They believe that if they construct the perfect atmosphere, light the candles, and play the music, desire will manifest automatically. This is logical. This is correct. And this is incredibly boring. Because the female libido, much like the male libido, does not reside in the frontal lobes responsible for planning and quarterly reports. It dwells much deeper. In the limbic system. In that ancient part of the brain inherited from distant ancestors, which comprehends only the language of action, scent, and force. When you approach her asking, "May I kiss you?" you appeal to her logic. You compel her brain to function, to analyze, to weigh the pros and cons. In that instant, she drops out of the flow state. She begins to think, did I load the dishwasher? Is my makeup smudged? Is it too early? You, with your own hands, activate her inner critic. You murder the moment. But when you act without warning, a short circuit occurs. And this short circuit is vitally necessary for us. Let us break it down into atoms. The first component of this circuit is the adrenaline spike. Visualize the scenario. An ordinary evening. She is standing in the kitchen, preoccupied with her thoughts. Perhaps she is irritated after work. Perhaps she is mentally reviewing the grocery list. She is in domestic autopilot mode. In this moment, she is not a woman. She is a function. A housewife, a mother, an employee. And suddenly, she feels your hands on her waist. Not pleading, not soft, but firm and authoritative. You abruptly spin her around to face you. In the first split second, her organism floods with a massive dose of adrenaline. This is an ancient mechanism. The fight or flight hormone. Her heart begins to hammer, her pupils dilate, blood drains from her stomach and rushes to her muscles. But the most critical thing adrenaline achieves in this instant is shutting down the neocortex. That intelligent brain that constantly buzzes in her head with thoughts of chores and anxieties. Adrenaline silences this noise. She is instantly transported to the here and now. No grocery list. No reports. Only you, her breathless state, and the strong hands that refuse to let her go. You literally knock her out of the gray reality into a world of sharp, visceral sensations. It is crucial to understand the boundary here. We are not speaking of the fear induced by a predator or a maniac. We are speaking of controlled fright in the presence of a loved one. It is like a roller coaster ride. You know you are strapped in, you know the structure is secure, but when the cart plunges downward, you scream in fear and delight simultaneously. Your sudden impulse functions exactly the same way. For her nervous system, this is safe danger. And it is this contrast that triggers the next chemical process, one that is even more potent. The second variable in the equation is the dopamine loop. As soon as her brain realizes there is no threat to her life, that this dominant male who has invaded her space is her man, a sharp polarity shift occurs. The adrenaline that was just boiling in her blood becomes a catalyst for the release of dopamine and endorphins. This is the chemistry of pleasure. And not simple pleasure, but earned pleasure. The brain rewards her for the stress she has survived. This is the same mechanism that compels people to skydive or watch thrillers. An acute sensation on the edge that concludes with release. It is in this precise second, when fear transmutes into arousal, that the most intense passion is born. She feels alive. Not just a tired wife obligated to fulfill a marital duty, but prey. Desirable, high-value prey for which a predator has gone on the hunt. This feeling is intoxicating. It disables all social breaks. Good girls do not do things like this on the kitchen table. But right now, she is not a good girl. She is a female captured by a strong male. And this liberates her. You grant her freedom from her own propriety. And now, a brief question to check our connection. Write just a plus or a minus sign in the comments. Have you ever experienced a situation where long, polite courtships led to a cold rejection, while spontaneous audacity suddenly unlocked every door? Type a plus if this sounds familiar. Let us see how many of us have learned this truth through practice. Now let us delve further into the details. What exactly does a woman perceive when you seize the initiative so roughly? Here, sensory perception takes the stage. Men love with their eyes, women love with their entire bodies. When you ask for permission, you create a distance. You stand opposite her, awaiting a verdict. When you take her without asking, you annihilate that distance. She smells the scent of your cologne or your body, which suddenly becomes sharper due to the proximity. She perceives the heat of your palms. She feels the heavy weight of your body. All her receptors are overloaded with input. She has no time to think, she can only feel. In psychology, this is termed sensory overload. It resembles hypnosis. When a magician overloads the viewer's attention with flashy movements to perform a trick unnoticed. You are doing the exact same thing. You overload her senses with your pressure to bypass her logical defenses. Her brain simply does not have time to say no because her body has already screamed yes. The body responded to the call while the mind was still struggling to comprehend the event. And therein lies the master secret. You are not violating her will. You are assisting her true desire in breaking through the dam of social prohibitions. But here is a subtle nuance that many pickup gurus omit, but which adult men are obligated to know. This trick functions only under one condition. You must possess a high credit of trust. She must know, at the level of reflexes, that you will not cause her actual harm. Your strength must be a fortress for her, not a threat. If there is a cold war, resentment, and misunderstanding between you, then an attempt to take her by force will result only in repulsion and genuine fear. This is a technique for those who have a base. For those who have already built a foundation but neglected to construct a roof of passion upon it. If you are strangers, begin with conversation. But if you are intimates who are simply stuck in a rut, this method will be the dynamite that shatters the stagnation. Recall the concept discussed by the classics of psychology. Every human, and a woman in particular, possesses two subpersonalities. One is social. She attends work, raises children, maintains order. She desires stability, peace, and predictability. But there is another. The shadow side. The one that craves chaos, drama, and submission. In ordinary life, a woman represses this shadow side. She is ashamed of her fantasies. It seems to her that wanting to be taken roughly right in the hallway, without removing her coat, is dirty and improper. Society trains her to be a lady. And when you behave like a gentleman, you are communicating with her social mask. You validate her in this role. But when you display healthy aggression, you speak directly to her shadow. You are essentially saying to her, I know who you truly are, and I accept it. I want your dark side just as hungrily as your light side. This brings an incredible relief to a woman. She no longer needs to pretend. She does not need to play the prude. You took the responsibility onto yourself. You are the initiator. You are the aggressor. And she is merely a victim of circumstance. This lifts the heavy burden of guilt for her own lust from her shoulders. And for this feeling of freedom to be her authentic self, she will be far more grateful to you than for the most expensive gift. You grant her the opportunity to be bad while remaining entirely safe. Consider it in this light. Sex on a schedule, following the question honey, are you in the mood, is like a corporate meeting. Everything is predictable, everything follows protocol, the result is known in advance. Spontaneous, dominant sex is like a natural disaster. You cannot prepare for it. You cannot control it. You can only survive it. And it is exactly such moments that are etched into memory for a lifetime. They are what make the blood boil. They are what make you, in her eyes, not just a roommate with whom she shares a mortgage, but a man. A male. The very one who once made her knees weak. Second section. Evolutionary biology. We inhabit glass towers, wear expensive suits, and utilize smartphones that are more intelligent than the computers that sent man into space. It seems to us that we are civilized beings who have long outgrown our animal instincts. But this is an illusion. A dangerous illusion that destroys thousands of marriages. Because beneath the thin veneer of civilization, beneath your office jacket and her evening gown, lurks an ancient, primal brain. And this brain absolutely does not care about etiquette rules, feminism, or modern trends. It is already 50,000 years old. And it operates by the same laws by which our ancestors lived in caves and savannas. To comprehend what she truly wants, you must forget that we live in the 21st century. You need to mentally transport yourself to the era where our instincts were forged. To a world where life was short, dangerous, and brutal. In that world, a woman had only one primary task, to survive and preserve her offspring. And for this, she needed not someone who knows how to speak eloquently or ask for permission. She needed someone capable of protection. Someone capable of killing a threat. Someone who possesses power. And nature created an infallible marker for identifying such a man. That marker is behavior. The third key to understanding her desires is the high rank signal. In the wild, hierarchy is cruel and simple. There are leaders, and there are followers. There are alphas who eat first, and there are betas who wait their turn. Observe a pack of wolves or a pride of lions. Have you ever witnessed a leader approach a female and uncertainly nudge her, waiting for her approval? Have you ever seen a dominant male ask for permission to mate? Never. In the world of instincts, a question is a sign of uncertainty. And uncertainty is a sign of low rank. When you approach your woman and ask "may I," your voice, your posture, your facial expressions broadcast doubt. You hand over the responsibility for making the decision to her. You are essentially stating, "I am not sure if I am worthy of you, so you decide." And her ancient brain reads this signal instantly. It sees before it a male who is afraid. And if he is afraid of her, his female, then how will he behave in the face of real danger? How will he protect her from a predator or an enemy from another tribe? He will not. He will flee. And her libido instantly shuts down. Not because you are a bad person, but because evolution forbids her from breeding with a weak link. Now, view the situation from the other side. When you act spontaneously, when you simply take her hand and lead her to the bedroom, or when you press her against the wall without unnecessary words, you broadcast a signal of absolute confidence. You do not ask for a right. You take the right. This is the behavior of a king, not a petitioner. And her instincts explode with an alarm signal that immediately transforms into delight. She sees strength before her. She feels that this man knows what he wants and knows how to get it. This births a deep, animalistic sense of safety in her. A paradox, but it is precisely in the moment of your aggressive domination that she feels most protected. If he is so strong with me, thinks her subconscious, then he can rip the throat out of anyone who tries to hurt me. Let us add a little biological specificity here. The fourth key is the gene test. The female body is a complex laboratory for evaluating genetic material. Even if you have been married for 20 years and have 3 children, this laboratory does not cease its work for a second. Every time you touch her, she scans you. And the main indicator she is searching for is the level of testosterone. This is the fuel of male power. It is testosterone that makes a man decisive, prone to risk, aggressive in the good sense of the word, and persistent. A man with low testosterone is always cautious. He will play it safe one too many times. He will ask for permission. He will seek a compromise. A man with high testosterone acts. His hormonal background pushes him toward expansion. To seize territory. To seize a woman. And when you suddenly grab her, when you show this primal persistence, you demonstrate your hormonal status to her. You show her your genes in action. This is a nonverbal presentation of your male viability. Her body reacts to this with the release of lubrication, a rapid heartbeat, and dilated pupils even before she manages to understand what is happening. This is biology. You cannot argue against it. It is important to dispel one popular myth here. Many men believe that women need tender, understanding, soft partners. This is what romantic comedies and women's magazines instill in us. But let us look the truth in the eye. Women love the tender and understanding ones for conversations. For friendship. For watching TV series together. But they sleep with those who cause them to tremble. Sexual attraction is always a little bit about power. It is the dance of predator and prey. If you remove the element of the hunt, the element of capture from this equation, only boring physical education remains. Recall your own sensations. When do you feel most masculine? When you sit on the couch and ask, "What shall we have for dinner?" Or when you make a decision, when you solve a problem, when you act with force. In the moment of spontaneous sex, you reclaim your nature. You shed the skin of a civilized office worker and release the beast outside. And she, your woman, is waiting for this beast. She is tired of being strong. She is tired of making decisions at work, at home, with the children. She wants to surrender her powers for at least 20 minutes. She wants to capitulate. But she can capitulate only before a winner. Before someone who is stronger than her. There is another subtle evolutionary aspect called overcoming resistance. In nature, a female often tests a male. She may run away, she may snarl, she may create obstacles. This is a test. She is checking, are you really as strong as you seem? Or will you give up at the first difficulty? If you approach her with a kiss, and she frowns and says I'm tired, and you immediately retreat, apologize, and leave, you failed the test. You showed that your desire is weak. That any no for you is a wall. But if in response to her I'm tired you silently turn her around, kiss her neck, and make it clear that this is not a question but a statement, you pass the test. You show that your desire is stronger than her excuses. Of course, we are talking about reasonable boundaries, about a situation of play between close people, and not about violence. But this moment of overcoming is critically important. It proves to her that you are obsessed with her. That you are ready to fight for her even against herself. Imagine a cave. Outside wolves are howling, rain is falling, the world is full of dangers. Inside, a fire is burning. And a man who has just returned from a hunt takes his woman. He doesn't ask if she is in the mood. He simply exercises his right of the strong. In this moment, for her, the world narrows to the size of his shoulders. All external threats disappear. There is only him and his strength. This feeling of peace through submission is the strongest drug for the female psyche. In the modern world, full of stress, deadlines, and neuroses, you give her exactly this with your brazen action, a return to that very cave where everything is simple, clear, and safe. And if what we are talking about resonates with you, if you feel that exactly this component is missing in your life, then you definitely should subscribe to this channel. Here we do not give empty advice, we dissect the very essence of male nature. Support the channel with a subscription so as not to lose this source of strength. Third section. Psychology of surrender. Now that we understand how her hormones and instincts work, let us talk about what happens in her soul. And here we encounter the biggest contradiction of the modern woman. On one hand, society demands she be independent, strong, controlling everything around her. On the other hand, upbringing dictates she be a good girl, modest, restrained. And somewhere between these two hammers lives her sexuality, clamped in a vice. The fifth key is removing responsibility. Think about how exhausted she gets from making decisions. What to cook, where to go on vacation, how to dress the children, how to answer the boss. Her brain constantly works in manager mode. And when in the evening you ask her, well, shall we have sex today, you simply toss her another task. Another decision she must make. You force her to take responsibility for this act upon herself. And since she was raised as a good girl, her first reaction will often be refusal. Because good girls don't say yes from the doorway. But when you take her without asking, you give her a royal gift. You give her an alibi. In that moment, it is not she who decides to be depraved. It is you who forced her. It is you, with your irresistible male power, who left her no choice. She can say to herself, I didn't want to, I resisted, but he was so persistent. This completely removes from her the feeling of guilt and shame for her own pleasure. She can allow herself to be wild, loud, insatiable, because officially the initiative did not come from her. You open the cage where her inner demon sits and take the blame for its release upon yourself. The sixth key is destroying routine. The most terrible enemy of passion is predictability. Bedroom, lights out, missionary position, 5 minutes, good night. This script kills libido faster than any stress. The female brain stops producing dopamine because it knows every step you take in advance. Boredom is the antonym of arousal. When you act spontaneously, you blow up this template. You turn a familiar apartment into a crime scene, into a place of adventure. Imagine she is washing dishes. She is in old sweatpants, without makeup, feeling like a tired housewife. And suddenly you approach from behind. You don't say a word. You simply move her hair aside and kiss her neck as if you want to devour her. You turn her around and lift her onto the counter, right next to the wet dishes. In this moment, a transformation occurs. Her brain switches. She is no longer a housewife. She is a desirable woman who is wanted right here and now, despite the dirty dishes and old clothes. You destroy the context of everyday life and create a context of passion. And this ability of a man to change reality with one action is valued by women incredibly highly. The seventh key is proof of desire. And this is, perhaps, the most powerful psychological lever. Women are extremely insecure about their attractiveness, especially with age. It seems to her that she is not the same as before. That you are used to her. That you sleep with her simply out of habit or a sense of duty. The words "you are beautiful" often sound like a perfunctory compliment to her. But an erection doesn't lie. Your spontaneous, uncontrollable desire doesn't lie. When you take her suddenly, when you cannot keep your hands to yourself, this is the most honest compliment you can give her. Your action screams, "I want you so much that I don't give a damn about time, place, and proprieties. I am hungry for you." For a woman, this is confirmation of her power over you. Confirmation that she is still a female capable of driving men crazy. This raises her self-esteem to the skies. And in gratitude for this feeling, she will give you as much energy and warmth as you wouldn't get in a year of correct, polite sex. But let us dot all the I's. We are not talking about rape. We are not talking about coercion when she says a firm no or when she is physically unwell. We are talking about play. About a dance. You must feel your woman. You must see the difference between no, which means go away, and no, which means take me, but give me the opportunity to resist a little for decency. This is a fine line, and it runs through your connection. If you love her, if you are attentive to her, you will never make a mistake. Your strength must be enveloping, like a sea wave that knocks you off your feet but in which it is pleasant to drown, and not like a concrete wall against which you crash. Conclusion. The art of being a man. Let us draw a line under everything we analyzed today. We started with neurons and hormones, went through millions of years of evolution, and looked into the dark corners of female psychology. But the bottom line of this conversation is not in terms and not in scientific facts. It is in your inner resolve. In who you choose to be when the door to your bedroom closes. Many men, especially after crossing the threshold of 40 or 50 years, make one strategic mistake. They start to think that the time for passion has passed. That now their lot is respect, comfort, stability, and warm tea in the evenings. They voluntarily castrate their nature, turning from lovers into reliable partners in household management. And this is a tragedy. Because your woman, no matter how old she is, inside remains the same female who craves for her heart to beat faster. And when you renounce your animal part, you deprive her of the most important elixir of youth. Understand one thing that can overturn your perception of marriage. Your healthy aggression, your pressure, your ability to take her without asking, this is not selfishness. This is a form of service. This is your duty as a man. In the modern world, which has become too sterile, too safe, and too correct, it is you who must become for her that source of raw, wild energy. She has nowhere else to get this charge. At work, deadlines. In the news, anxiety. In everyday life, routine. And only you, with your own hands, can create for her that very oasis where she will again feel alive, desirable, and weak. Weak not from powerlessness, but from delight before your strength. Do not be afraid of your inner darkness. Jung said that a tree cannot grow to heaven if its roots do not reach deep into hell. Your ability to be tough, dominant, and demanding in sex, these are the roots that nourish the crown of your love. If you are only good, bright, and correct, your relationship will wither. It needs moisture. It needs a storm. It needs that electric discharge that arises when you stop asking and start acting. I know that fear stops many of you. Fear of seeming rude. Fear of offending. Fear of being rejected. But this fear is the voice of your social programming, not your intuition. Your intuition knows the truth. Remember the moments when you acted on instincts. Remember how her eyes burned. Was there resentment in them? No. There was silent adoration. A woman forgives a man a lot, but she never forgives weakness and indifference. An excessive delicacy in bed is often read precisely as indifference. Therefore, here is your homework for the rest of your life. Stop being convenient. Stop being predictable. Kill the good boy inside yourself who waits for permission to take a cookie. You are an adult man. You are the master of your territory. Next time you see your woman, don't ask yourself, does she want to? Ask yourself, do I want to? And if the answer is yes, then act. Approach. Turn her around. Press her close. Let your hand say everything for you. Let your confidence become the law for her for this half hour. And don't look for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. The dishes can wait. The series can be paused. The phone can be turned off. The only thing that cannot be paused is life. It is passing. And every time you hold back your impulse, you steal a piece of life from yourself and from her. Return to yourself the right to be a predator. Return to her the right to be prey. And you will see how dust and boredom disappear from your relationship, and in their place comes that very energy that connected you at the very beginning of the journey. This is not just advice on improving intimate life. This is a philosophy of reviving the masculine principle. And if you feel that you are ready to walk this path, if you understand that being a man means acting, not asking, take the first step right now. Write in the comments which thought from this video hooked you the most. What exactly do you plan to change in your behavior? Your experience, your insights, this is fuel for our community. We are here learning from each other. And of course, if you are not with us yet, fix this immediately. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell. Because in the next videos, we will continue to ruthlessly dissect the truth about male strength, female psychology, and the laws of life that are not taught in schools. Welcome to the club of those who do not ask, but take.